Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Rose and I'm on a debt-free journey. In today's video, I'm going to be closing out my February 2025 budget, and it covered all my expenses through to the 27th of February. We're looking at both paid budgets for the month of February. All right, so because it's so wide, I'm just going to go through on this side here. All right, so the rollover from the month of January was $600. Like I explained, I did not add this $600 to the income for the month of February because I want to keep each month's income separate. All right, so for the month of February, income was $6,950. Family contribution or reimbursement was $485. Other income was $1,100. So that's a total of for other income, I need to add the $30 from my debit card cashback rewards. So that's gonna be all right. So for the expenses for the entire month, $600 that was rolled over from January was set aside for rent. So rent was paid in full for $24.33.90. Water was paid for $164.75. The phone bill was paid for $284.99. Gas and electricity, those two bills were budgeted but not paid by the 27th of the month. So I have zero here for both. For security bill, that was paid for $77.32. Insurance was paid for $172.51. Load number one was paid in full for $488.08. Loan number two was paid for $461.88, and personal loans 1 and 2 both were paid for $1,240.74, and the second loan was $766.32. For credit cards, we paid a total of $396.40. For subscription, we paid $26.98. For unbudgeted expenses, that was $220 for shipping costs. For groceries, I stick to my budget for groceries. I went a little bit under. I used $289.25. For fuel, that was $249.85. For savings, I set aside $1,000. And for unplanned, I don't know why on the 31st of January, I was going through my Cash App account. So in my Cash App account, I do round up in Cash App. That I've been doing that since 2023. I've been doing purchase roundup in my Cash App account. Each time I use the Cash App card, they will automatically round up and put it towards the stock that I bought. So I just decided to add towards purchasing some Meta stocks. This wasn't planned. This was just in the moment thing. Haven't been checking the stock section of my Cash App, and I went there and I saw where since 2023, I think it was November 2023, I invested $34 and the return was $33. So I said, you know what, let me just put $20 more in there. It was so unplanned, and that's something that I'm trying to get out of, just doing things because I feel like doing it. So even though it's not a bad thing, but it's I did not budget for, and I want to try to maintain discipline moving forward. All right, so total spending was $8,292.97, and monthly ending balance was $272.03. All right, so we're going to be going over into the forecasting versus actual spreadsheet. If you watched my last video where I budgeted for the first period in March, you would see that I rolled over $254. That 254 is coming from this total right here, which should have been to cover the bills right here. So let me go over into the actual. Okay, so this is the forecasting versus actual worksheet. Total income, I budgeted $7,230, excluding the rollover again. The amount was $8,565, still excluding the $600 here. All right, for savings and reserves, I budgeted $30, but I actually set aside $1,030. The $1,000 that was supposed to be money that was scheduled to go towards paying off the Best Buy card with the accumulate to avoid the accumulated interest. And I decided against paying off that accumulated interest. So I'm going to be seeing how much interest we have accrued over the 1 year, because that's now going to be added to the overall balance on the account. The $30 set aside for my non-emergency fund. This non-emergency fund is what I am building from any cashback rewards. So each month when I use my Discover debit card, because that's what I use to pay my rent, I earn $30, which is the maximum for cashback rewards with my Discover debit card. So at the end of the month, I just transfer that amount into the savings account. All right, I started that with $400. I'm at $460 now. All right, so for fixed expenses, all were covered with the exception of internet, electricity, and gas. So $2,894.95 was budgeted for fixed expenses. $3,133.47 was spent. But bear in mind that this $600 was allocated for rent. All right, so that's where the difference is coming from here. Okay, let's move on to variable expenses. For groceries, $300 was, and I spent $289.25. So if you remember in January, the latter part of January, I did grocery shopping. So that's the reason why this budget was so low for groceries, even though I'm trying to see how best we can survive on a $300 to $400 grocery budget per month, just to see if we can keep expenses on the lower end. All right, so we budgeted $500. We spent $539.10, and that's given to the excess that we spent for fuel. Okay, for my debt, I budgeted $3,780.05. We spent $3,353.42. There was no extra debt payment, hence the reason there is the difference. All other accounts were paid on time. With credit, I budgeted $450. Okay, card. The $450 was budgeted, but we actually paid $396.40. And that is because for Best Buy number two, I believe I budgeted for Best Buy number two. Let me skip here. $396.40. Yes, for Best Buy number two, I had included that minimum payment, but because I made an extra debt payment on the Best Buy card in the end of January, it be payment for the month of February. So I didn't have to make a payment for the month of February, but I had already made the budget, the monthly budget. So it was captured into the monthly budget. But I actually paid $396.40 towards our credit card debts. Back to forecasting. All right, so miscellaneous, I budgeted $25 for subscription, but this is where the unplanned shipping fees came in. Unplanned shouldn't is probably not the best term, because I knew that I had to ship those items off, but I just didn't budget for it, so this is where I just had to put it. So miscellaneous, I budgeted $25, but we actually spent $246.98. All right, so let me just close these. Okay, so now we can do a detailed look at each category. Budgeted versus the actual on the overall category. So for income, we budgeted $7,230. Overall, 8,565. For savings, and we budgeted $30. Overall, $1,030 was actually put towards savings and reserves. For fixed expenses, $2,894.95, but we actually paid $3,133.40 towards fixed expenses. This is including the $600 that was rolled over from January to February's rent. Variable expenses, we are overspent in this category by $39.10 because we spent a total of $539.10. For debt, we are under, which is $3,350.42, and that's because we did not make the extra debt payment. For miscellaneous, we are over in the miscellaneous category because of that unplanned expenses that I did for the shipping. That was $220. As well as for miscellaneous leave subscription, I budgeted $25, but the actual amount was $26.98. All right, so total expenses is $72.97 more than I budgeted for the month. And for total reserves, it's $1,000, and it's $1,000 more than I budgeted. So when I calculated all that I have across my bills account, which is my primary account where our salary comes in, or bills account where the debts are automatically drafted from, as well as our bills account where I use shopping or gas or any other little expenses, my let's say my account, there was $272.03 all together. All right, so this is telling me that there's 262.03, but when I did the actual count, it was $272.03, which is the exact amount that I have here. Even though I went off board for a lot of these categories, I'm still grateful that we were able to cover our four walls. Rent was utilities were paid for the most part, except for gas and electricity. Those were not yet paid this budget. And I'm just looking forward to see what the month of March is going to bring. And just to give an update on my interview, I do not believe that I'm going to be taking that position. So the position was for a financial consultant. And even though it's something that I would really like to do so that I can learn for myself, I could bring more value to my YouTube channel and my YouTube community. The upfront costs in terms of getting my licensing and all that, I am not prepared to really spend any money to go that route as we speak. I'm looking more into getting money in right now than to put any money out. So I'm still on the market. I'm still sending out my applications. So that one is going to be a no for me, even though it's something that I might consider in the future. All right, so that's it for today's video. Thank you all for watching, and as usual, please leave your comments and I will definitely be responding to you in the comment section. All right, so until the next video, bye.